I've never seen a movie capture the way it feels to be a stoner like The Big Lebowski does. Now, just to clarify, I'm not talking about capturing how it feels to be high, I'm talking about how it feels to have been high for the last 10 years. They're two very different things. I quit smoking pot about 6 months ago. I was smoking pretty much all day, every day for about 3 years, so sure, I'm no Willie Nelson or Quasimodo, but I've been there. There are three main themes that separate The Big Lebowski from other stoner comedies, as far as capturing being a stoner. Firstly, everything happens to the dude, almost completely without his input. You get the feeling that if it was up to the dude, nothing would ever change in his life. And secondly, the dude is completely malleable. In both his dream sequences and dialogue, we see him repeat or remember the things he sees and hears. Thirdly, no matter how bad things get for the dude, or even when he's in a really bad mood, he seems to have a sort of inner peace. The type of inner peace that can only come from knowing that all you need to be happy is a small apartment, a joint, and a White Russian. So with that out of the way, I'm gonna start getting into spoiler territory. Definitely watch this movie. It seems like it's hit and miss. Some people love it, others not so much. Give it a shot. The major theme throughout this movie is that the dude just wants out of all of this. The pornographers pee on the dude's rug, so he takes the only bit of initiative we see him take in the entire movie by going to the Big Lebowski's mansion and asking for a new rug, seeing as the pornographers meant to pee on his rug instead of the dude's. Even this little bit of commitment to getting a new rug is brought on by his friends convincing him that it's a travesty.
So who? Jeff Lebowski, the other Jeffrey Lebowski, the millionaire.
That's fucking interesting, man. That's fucking interesting.
Plus, he has the wealth, obviously, and the resources, so that there's no fucking reason why his wife should go out and no money all over town, and then they come and they pee on your fucking rug.
After that, he ignores some calls from the Big Lebowski for a bit, until he eventually goes and sees them to get them off his back. They tell him the wife, Bunny, has been kidnapped, and ask the dude to deliver the ransom money because he's in a unique position to identify the kidnappers as the pornographers. The dude does it, if only to get himself out of this situation, but his friend Walter pretty much forces himself into it, insisting that he drive, and throwing out a briefcase full of his laundry so that they can keep the money for themselves. Ironically, the kidnappers say, "No funny stuff," but sure enough, funny stuff happens. The kidnappers send the Big Lebowski a tow that supposedly belongs to Bunny. The rug that the dude took from the Big Lebowski's house just so happens to be a rug of sentimental value to the Big Lebowski's daughter, Maud, so she sends her goons to knock the dude out and take the rug back. Around this time, the dude has his car, along with the briefcase full of money, stolen. He invites the police into his home, not even bothering to hide his weed tray, and asks them if they can get it back. He gets a call from Maud saying that she took the rug and asking him to come visit. When he does, she explains that Bunny almost definitely kidnapped herself, and tells the dude of pornographer Jackie Treehorn, who she thinks Bunny is in cahoots with. She also explains that the Big Lebowski is only putting on a veneer of accomplishment and has in fact run several business ventures into the ground, and is only living off an allowance from Maud. The dude visits Jackie Treehorn to put all of this Bunny business in the past, but Jackie drugs him and calls the cops saying that the dude got drunk and started acting abusively. The dude gets his car back, completely smashed up by whoever stole it, and after getting in a wreck, he finds a kid's homework in it. He and Walter visit the kid so that they can get the money back, and Walter starts smashing up the new car parked outside in order to get the kid to crack. It turns out the car wasn't the kid's at all, and the owner steps out of a neighboring house to smash up the dude's car. Eventually, Bunny shows up at the Big Lebowski's house, and it's revealed that she knew nothing about any kidnapping. Maud comes to the dude's house to sleep with him in order to get a child she knows the father won't want anything to do with, taking advantage of the dude as most people do. And towards the end, we learn that a group of nihilists just wanted to bank off of Bunny's vacation by acting like they had kidnapped her, and one of them even sacrificed her toe to convince them that they had her. When the nihilists are upset that they won't get any money, they go to the bowling alley and set the dude's car on fire. When the dude tells them that there was no kidnapping and that they know it, they try instead to mug the group, and Walter fights them off while the dude and Donnie try to give them their money. None of the group is hurt, but Donnie suffers a heart attack and dies, brilliantly foreshadowed by Donnie getting his first spare in the movie, whereas he's gotten nothing but strikes before. They throw Donnie's ashes to sea, and go back to bowling with the mystery resolved.
Hey, fuck it, man. Let's go bowling.
Every problem in this movie is caused by somebody caring too much about their situation, but not the dude. He just wants everything to go back to the way things were, but he keeps getting roped into an ever-worsening situation by the overly passionate Walter and everyone involved with money. If everyone in this movie just kicked back like the dude does, everything would have been fine. He does very little to actually progress the plot on his own, and everything just sort of happens to him, rather than him going out and making his own changes in the plot. So, on to my next point, how the dude subconsciously picks up on his surroundings and works them into his life. In the beginning, at the supermarket, the dude sees a presidential speech about how the aggression in Iran will not stand.
This will not stand, this aggression against Kuwait.
And later, he quotes it saying,
This aggression will not stand, man.
When Maude shows him the porno Log Jammin', he remembers Jackie Treehorn from his goons saying that he owes Jackie money. We see him learn about the nihilists when he asks Bunny if the drunk in the pool wouldn't mind if she gave him a blowjob, which again is later paid off. But now, on to what I think is the more interesting use of the dude's memory, his dreams. When Maude and her goons knock the dude out and steal the rug, he has a dream sequence where he's flying through the sky, chasing after Maude flying away on his rug, visualized as a magic carpet, before crashing to Earth and winding up in a bowling ball. I honestly feel like this is exactly what the dude would be dreaming about in his situation. Trying to get the rug back from Maude, and then segueing into bowling. When the dude goes to Jackie Treehorn's mansion, he tells him of the high-production, interactive porn of the future, and the dude's drug-induced dream sequence is an abstract, artsy-fartsy porno called Gutterballs. Thanks to him hearing about the president talk about Saddam Hussein on the TV, he sees Saddam as the shoe guy at the bowling alley in the dream. When the dude first enters Maude's house, there's a painting of a pair of scissors against a red backdrop placed subtly in the corner of the frame, and at the end of this dream sequence, we see the dude being chased down by a few men in red skin suits holding giant pairs of scissors. Without any words spoken, we can sort of see what's going on in the dude's mind, and what tiny details about the world stuck with him through these dream sequences. I think this malleability and susceptibility to his surroundings perfectly captures what it's like to be a stoner. When you don't see many new things on a day-to-day basis, the things that are new stick out in your mind sharply. Lastly, the dude's inner peace. Even when the dude's at his lowest points in the movie, he still seems sort of calm and collected, whereas everyone around him is worked up and angry. The dude knows that this will all blow over eventually, and he recognizes that once it does, he'll be able to go back to his simple life of getting high and listening to bowling ASMR. Even if his apartment burns down, he knows that a tiny apartment and some weed is all it'll take to keep him happy, and if that isn't security, I don't know what is. It can never get that bad for the dude, because it'll only take so little to build him back to where he wants to be from zero. I've seen a lot of stoner comedies, and hardly any that I've enjoyed. It seems to me that that's because most of them focus on the act of smoking weed, something that's so common to a stoner that it's not exactly interesting to watch. It'd be like if someone made a movie about being a taxi driver. We all know what it's like to drive, so watching somebody drive all day isn't interesting. But a movie about the psychological effects of driving all day is. The Big Lebowski is a stoner comedy with very little weed smoking in it, wanting instead to focus on the lifestyle rather than the act. Which is why it's 100 times more relatable than Cheech and Chong driving an RV made of weed across the Mexico border, or Ice Cube falling down after his first hit off of the blunt in Friday. It seems like other stoner comedies were made for people that don't actually smoke weed, while The Big Lebowski was made exclusively for longtime stoners.
On the range I belong, drifting along with the tumbling